This is every possible way the Pittsburgh Steelers can make the playoffs this season. So, the Steelers, they actually have a really good chance of making the playoffs if they win in Baltimore and also have a few other things happen for them. And this video is going to be explaining every possible way updated for this week. Well, last week, if you look at the odds, they had a below 20% chance of making the playoffs. But since they won in Seattle, now they're facing the depleted Ravens, and a few other games are hard matchups that could go in the Steelers' favor. And this is what needs to happen for the team. So, the easiest way for them to make it is they need a win in Baltimore. And that should be pretty easy because they're facing a backup quarterback since they've ruled Lamar Jackson out, and they've also listed a lot of other starters on their team questionable because they already picked up the number 1 seed in the AFC, so they don't want to risk any injuries and play their starters. So it should be a pretty easy matchup beating the Baltimore Ravens, but we all know the Steelers, they love losing easy matchups, so they need to find a way how to win this game no matter what. No matter if they're facing starters or backups, they need to win this game, and that's where it starts. And after they win that game, they need one of these things to happen to make the playoffs. So, win the game, and then they would need a Buffalo loss to Miami Dolphins. Or, another way they can make it is the Steelers win their game, and then they have the Jacksonville Jaguars loss or tie, and they're going to be facing the Tennessee Titans. A third way they can make the playoffs is the Steelers winning their game, and then they have Houston, Texans, and Indianapolis Colts end as a tie. And then a fourth way they can make the playoffs is the Pittsburgh Steelers, they tie their game, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, they lose their game, and then Houston and Indianapolis Colts, one of those two teams win. It doesn't matter which of those teams win, it just cannot end as a tie. So, a fifth way the Steelers can make the playoffs, and this one is more of a tricky one. I'm pretty sure the Steelers could lose the game against Baltimore. Jacksonville Jaguars also lose their game. Denver Broncos, they win their game, and then either one of Houston and Colts, as long as that game does not end as a tie and one of those teams win, the Steelers will make the playoffs. So, there's 5 different ways the Steelers can make the playoffs, and they have a really good chance because they really, all they need to do is win their game, and most of them is just having one other team lose their game. And there are harder matchups which any team could win. It is not as if the teams that the Steelers need to lose their game are facing such an easy matchup in which they should win their game. Buffalo, they're facing a really good Miami Dolphins team, and they're both fighting for a division spot. So, Miami Dolphins have a lot on the line, the Buffalo Bills have a lot on the line, and the Steelers have a lot on the line. And that game should be a good one. It should not be one of those games where Miami Dolphins bench all their players. They're not trying. They want to get a home playoff game. And if they win this game against Buffalo, that's what they'll get in the very first round, a home playoff game. And in the second round, they'll also get a home playoff game. So there's a lot on the line for the Miami Dolphins in order to make the playoffs and have something to play for in this game. And they don't want to blow it at the very end of the season. All season, they've been at the top of the AFC. They've been at the top of their division, and now if they come down to the wire, the last 2 games they lose, that would be a pathetic way to go out in order to not have a home playoff game because they had it in their hands. They had it in their hands, and they could have been at the top of the AFC, but now that's the Ravens, and now they could be at top of their division for a first time in a while, and they don't want to blow it at the very end. So hopefully Miami Dolphins are able to pull it out and able to win that game at Buffalo. So that's not just an easy matchup that the Steelers are not looking forward to. That's going to be a very hard matchup, and that actually has a chance to go the Steelers' way. The next one was the Steelers winning, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, they lose their game. So they're going to be facing the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans are a very weird team. They usually sometimes play good, or they play really bad. It really depends week to week. You just don't go into a matchup like last week. They are facing the Houston Texans. You're going into that matchup, you really didn't know what to expect. They could either win or lose, and then they got blown out. It's not like they're going into a game and you just know automatically that they're going to lose. It's a really tough matchup because they love running the football, and it just works sometimes. It doesn't work. They also have a rookie quarterback. So that game is going to be kind of a weird one. Trevor Lawrence, he is coming back from an injury, and he should be playing in this game. So we don't know if he's going to be 100% with his shoulder injury. So that's going to be a tough one to look out for as well. And we all know the divisional games are always tough. And all these games that are playing this week are going to be divisional games. So that makes it even easier for the Pittsburgh Steelers to have something go their way, because we all know how tough the Steelers division is. And whenever they face their division, it's always a close game. And I'm sure it's the same with other teams. When you face your division, you want to win in your division. And it's always a tougher matchup because you've played each other already in the past, and you know what to expect because you play each other 2 times per season. So the Tennessee Titans and the Houston and the Jacksonville Jaguars, that's going to be a tough game as well. If things go Steelers' way, they should be in the playoffs. Like I said, the third way the Steelers could have made the playoffs were winning their game and then having a Houston Texans and Indianapolis Colts tie. And that one's not going to happen. That one is going to be a very tough one. When does games ever end as a tie? I don't think there's been one tie this season so far, so really don't expect anything much from that game. The fourth way I said the Steelers could have made the playoffs were the Steelers tying, Jacksonville losing, and then Houston or Indianapolis Colts doesn't end as a tie. Once again, that one's going to be tough. The Steelers tying their game, when does ties ever happen? So you could kind of cross that one out as well. So the Steelers really only have 3 chances to make the playoffs if we're being realistic here. The fifth way the Steelers could have made the playoffs, like I said, was the Steelers actually losing their game, Jacksonville losing as well, Denver Broncos winning, and then whoever wins between Houston and Indianapolis Colts, it does not matter. And that one actually has a good chance at winning because Denver Broncos, they're facing a team, they just came off a win, and Denver Broncos are a really tough matchup usually. It always comes down to the wire, so they could win their game. Jacksonville, they're facing the divisional opponents. Jacksonville, like I said, they're facing Tennessee, and it's a divisional matchup. Tennessee is a weird team. Also, Houston and Colts, it doesn't matter. One of those teams are going to have to win. One of those teams are going to have to lose. And as long as it doesn't end as a tie, that's a really good chance the Steelers could make the playoffs. But if the Steelers win their game, then that scenario is basically thrown out the window, because that scenario is basically only if the Steelers lose their game. So that's why I've seen that one is kind of a weird one. I don't really understand that fifth one that is listed in the scenario of the Steelers can make the playoffs, because then there'd be like a 4-way tie. I thought they would need Buffalo to lose their matchup too in that scenario, but from that, what that scenario says that the NFL actually posted on their website, it says the Steelers could lose their game. That one doesn't make sense to me, so I really only understand truly the first 4 that I listed, but apparently the fifth one is an option as well from what the NFL is saying and putting out there. So anyway, those are the 5 ways the Pittsburgh Steelers can make the playoffs this season through week 17. That means that's the week 17 and beyond. There's 1 week left in the season. It's this week, and they need things to go their way if they want to have any chance of making the playoffs. Everything else does not matter. Yes, we could say the Steelers should already secure their playoff spot if they just beat the Patriots or beat the Cardinals or beat some other bad teams that they faced this season, but they didn't. It all comes down to this week, and it seems like it always comes down to the final week with the Steelers. It came down to the final week last season, and things did not go their way. They needed Miami to win last year, and they did not win. Also, in years past, the Steelers needed to make the playoffs as well. Remember when they're facing the Ravens in Big Ben's final year, and they need some other things to go their way, and they had it go their way. So this league, this team, it seems like it always comes down to the final week to secure playoff spots. And once again, the Steelers are going to be in a tough situation in order to watch out. But the good thing is, though, the Steelers play on Saturday, meaning we're going to be watching our team win Saturday. And then we could watch the other games actually anticipating a loss. because if the games are playing at the same time, it's gonna be kind of hard to go bounce back through games and watch and kind of scoreboard watch. But now we don't have to scoreboard watch. We could watch our team on Saturday and then hope for a loss on Sunday with the other teams. But with that being said, that's the way the Pittsburgh Steelers can make the playoffs this season. And if you learned something in this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel down below with the notifications on so you never miss out whenever I post a next Steelers video. I cover everything Pittsburgh Steelers, whether that's news, breaking news, just reports, rumors, also film breakdowns and reactions. I do it all, and I post videos every single day. So make sure you subscribe to the channel with notifications on. Also like, comment, and subscribe. Comment down below if you think the Steelers will actually make the playoffs, or do you think those scenarios are too far gone and they have no chance and they should have done better earlier in the season and should not have to wait for these matchups? Or will they make it? And I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.